here. Happy ain't no blues here, ain't no bad news here. Nonsense a nuisance. That's why I'm always cruising, Negativity, I don't need your 2 cents. You're either stressed or blessed, what you choosing. Who's out or who's in? That's why I'm always cruising, I focus on the win. Get a grip and don't lose it. They focus on not losing, but that's why they always losing. That's why I'm always cruising,
Hi there. Welcome everyone to our Q&A for our program Moments in a Woman's Journey. We're so honored to be here with Asali Eccles, director of Lion on the Mat. And this film is part of a showcase about some wonderful, strong women. The other films in the showcase are Rimi, director Nishchal Sharma, that's from India, and in Hindi. Piglet Piglet, director Sun Yun Lin in Taiwan. And Long Night Search for the Day, director Dai Lei, if I'm pronouncing that sort of correctly at least, in China. I'm Chetana, Narasimha Jois, and I am a programmer with PATH. Just delighted to be here. Asali, would you like to say a couple words about yourself or your day even?
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Asali Eccles, director of Lion on the Mat. Thanks so much for having me and for programming the film. I'm really honored to be part of this showcase. And yeah, I'm in California. It's bright and early here. I have a shoot after this, so this is a great way to start the day. And just looking forward to talking with you.
Oh, that's great. What's the weather like over there right now?
Well, it's about 55. The sun is peeking up over the hill over there. I'm going to San Francisco, so it'll probably be foggy as it usually is, but yeah, that's okay. Layers.
Right. We here in Philly, we're just having like such a mix of weather. Like it kind of like changes day to day, hour to hour, let alone day to day, you know.
Oh,
but we've had some nice warm days as well. Kind of jealous of California weather, you know, a little bit.
Yeah, we usually have pretty nice weather on the whole over here, but it was raining very hard a few weeks ago. It was almost hurricane level rain. So.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Gosh, we haven't had that kind of rain in the last at least couple of months, but it's been rainy a little bit. So I have to say, your film has been nominated for Best Documentary Short in our film festival, this Philadelphia Asian American Film Festival. And it's just a very exciting thing. That award ceremony for all of you watching will be at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time online. So you can tune in from anywhere. We know our other filmmakers. So that right there, I have to shout that out because it's super exciting. Just by the way, our other filmmakers are located in India and China, and so it's quite late there now. So we do understand how that can be. But you know, this experience of watching these films and you know, getting to know in a way each filmmaker through their work has been very interesting and rewarding to see the different perspectives. And I read about how you met the subject of our film and and how you developed a friendship and just began spending time together, and how that was really the basis for you making this her story into a film. Would you like to tell us a little bit about that?
Sure, yeah. So I I guess I wasn't planning to make this film at all, but like you said, I just met Mai at a party about 3 years ago, and I'm a runner, and Mai was trying to build up her aerobic endurance for jujitsu. And so she said, oh, will you please take me running? I'm really bad at running. And I said, okay, sure. So we started out running together. And at first she couldn't even run a mile. I mean, we were trying to do this 3-mile loop, and we were stopping, we were resting, which is totally fine. But Mai is so determined. She kept at it every week. We'd go and she'd go a little bit further. And soon, I mean, she's incredibly fit. So her leaps and bounds in running were amazing. Soon she was running 5 miles, and we'd go running 2 to 3 times a week together. And it was the thing about running, I think running partners or running friendships is when you're out there for 5 miles, you can just be very open with people, and somehow like any kind of vulnerability, it's just easier to talk openly, I think, when you're out running. And so we became very close quickly, and we told each other all about our lives. And I couldn't put away the feeling that Mai just had a very special perspective on life. And I was just inspired to know her as a person. And it's an odd ask, oh, we're friends. Can I make a film about you? That's not something you normally want to do, to put your friend in that position. But because she mentioned a few things like wanting to share her story with other young women and feeling like maybe she had something to bring to the conversation, I felt like maybe it was okay to ask that of her. And so we started talking about it, and she was really excited. And we came to this film as sort of a collaboration. I have the tools of filmmaking. That's my craft, but it was really her story, and we were trying to tell it together. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. And so there's so many questions I have about this film, or the making of this film. And I'm curious, one of the things I'm curious about is obviously, like what you're saying, the friendship, when there's 2 hearts or however many, but when a friendship develops, and you're able to, like, that sharing just comes so naturally when there's a click and a chemistry between friends. And that becomes a really emotionally safe place, in the best of circumstances. And so the trust that you each had in each other, to be able to take these steps to make a work of art out of her personal story, it's just remarkable. And I wondered if there was anything that felt daunting for you in doing that. Like, I know that you're a very experienced filmmaker, professor. Did this feel like easier for you because of the friend? Like, I know you said that usually, you don't ask a friend, can I put your life on film? But in a way, did that make it easier, or was it harder? And not just from the friendship aspect, but also from the cultural aspect. Do you feel familiarity with Mai's cultural identity outside of the friendship? Or you've made so many films, so yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say, I think you're overblowing my credentials. But I've edited a lot of documentaries and been part of a lot. This was actually my first documentary that I made all by myself.
Wow, congratulations.
So yeah, but as far as the difficulty, I think I was nervous to show her, so we did obviously all the filming together, but then the pandemic hit. And so in April, I was just sitting in my room editing this by myself. And, I was talking to her constantly, and we were discussing it, but, she hadn't seen a cut of it until I think June. And I was nervous to show her, because I really wanted it to be truthful to her experience and not misrepresent her story in some way or take liberties for the sake of storytelling that didn't feel right to her. So when I showed it to her, I was like, look, this is what I've done, but we can change anything. This is an early cut. And she was like, oh, no, that's pretty good. I actually like that. Yeah, maybe just replace. I have some better footage for you to use here. And I was like, oh, thanks. So luckily, she was very open to it and was happy with the way it was turning out. So, but that was definitely, I was nervous. I mean, because with a lot of documentaries, you get someone to sign a release and then you don't necessarily show them the final product, especially if they're not going to be coming off in a great light, you know, which is how journalism works, you know.
Right.
But this didn't feel like journalism at all to me. I really felt like I was just trying to, you know, help her tell her personal narrative. So.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, the care is really apparent. And you even just now when you were saying that, oh, she, just the way when you quoted her about liking the cut, you know, you sounded just like her. What I as a viewer saw in the film, just like this enthusiasm in her voice. That's one of the things that made her such a personable subject for a film. She's so inspiring in her athleticism, as well as her you know, overcoming certain various types of things, personal experiences. So you know, just that that tenacity and the enthusiasm in her personability also made it like that much more interesting. And you know, it personalizes the story. You know, I think so many people can identify with one thing or another, and one can identify regardless of gender, regardless of age. There's so much in her story that is relatable, and that was one of the things that really jumped out. And what a title, and coming from, you know, how she sees herself. How in the beginning she talks about how she sees herself as lion, and you know, and yeah, that vulnerability, like just, you know, learning different things about her opponent, not to underestimate her opponent, but also to go out there with the fierceness. So I'm curious, was it difficult for Mai to so openly show her journey, some of the difficult parts, the things she overcame in childhood as well as in her marriage?
You know, I don't think it was. That's part of the reason I approached her to tell this story, is because she was very open about sharing it just in conversation.
Wow.
She's a very open person. And I mean, I think some of that is just maybe through jujitsu. You become, you know, like she's just there in her little spandex suit, like rolling around with people on mats all day. And like, I think those normal like barriers that we feel kind of trepidation about sharing things, when you're doing that, I think it kind of opens you up. And so, yeah, she was very open. I didn't have to pry anything out of her. In fact, when we did our first interview, I only asked her 2 questions maybe, and she just kind of flowed. The conversation just flowed from one topic to another. And yeah, I was not prying at all. So yeah, I would say there was a lot of openness.
Yeah. Wow. And you know, for our viewers, I just, you know, for those of the viewers who have, there's many who have watched and many who will watch. We have a little bit of a window, just a little window for our festival, as you need to click on the film before midnight tonight, and then you'll have a little bit of time to watch, about 24 hours from the time you click play. But I highly encourage everyone to do so. So this is a great point about how the experience of training, you know, is so intense that sort of all defenses are kind of maybe off to the side. What, you know, is fear is just kind of like, there's really no place for fear in emotionally or physically.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if that also translated to any pushback that she may have received from family members. I mean, Asian culture can be very, I mean, not just Asian culture, but when it, immigrant cultures, or even when they're not immigrant, but she is particularly an immigrant from a family, and that can be very difficult to be open about the harder things to talk about. So I wondered, and I'm sure that many of our viewers are curious about, if that strength and athleticism and mental training is what informed her in being able to fend off pushback, or if there really wasn't at this point of her journey any pushback from the others that were talked about or covered.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think there was much. I'm not sure that she showed this film to certain members of her family, but I don't think that, the thing about Mai is she was happy to make the movie, but she wasn't like, look, a movie was made about me.
Right.
Like, everybody watch it. In fact, I think since it's come out, she told me that she was at the grocery store the other day and someone was like, wait, weren't you in that movie? I guess it was someone who'd seen it at a festival, and she was like, that was really weird. I don't want to be a celebrity. So I don't think she's like shown this to her entire family, but I don't think they would. I don't know. I think at this point, many things have happened. I mean, her parents were actually living with her during the second half of the filming of this. They moved from Vietnam just to be with her for a year or two.
Wow.
So, I mean, I think their relationship has, developed over time. And, I think they still drive each other crazy. But that's, she's an adult now, and I think they have grudgingly accepted that. So.
Yeah. I mean, and yeah, that's kind of part of being human and having, relationships in close proximity or close emotionally, is that there's going to be pushback there. We're meant to grow through those relationships in some really sometimes very gritty ways. And so, wow. And how about Mai's child? Was it interesting for him to be was he part of the production of the film in any way, like in terms of even being on set or?
Yeah. Well, yeah, so you've seen him in a few scenes, but in other scenes when I was just filming her, he was around, and I had a little GoPro. He was actually really interested in the filmmaking process, so I let him use this GoPro and wander around and film things. And I mean, he's really a great kid. I know him well, and we all hang out quite often. So yeah, I mean, I think he thought it was cool that this was happening. And yeah, I don't know if Mai's shown him the film necessarily, but when he's older, I think it will be a good thing for him to watch, to learn more about his mother and see this time capsule of her life.
Right. And what a way to engage him also by giving him that little GoPro. I mean, that's like excellent, because this is surely building roots for him and memories as to his experience, and certainly enhancing it. That's a really sweet thing to see, because it's not just about talking or being a subject. He's actually getting some hands-on time, and it's already also, as we've talked about so much, in the context of a really emotionally safe relationship between his mother and a good friend of his mother. So I think that's one of the things about telling stories, which is, also the principal character in Rimi, the actress, is a storyteller, and So I think that's really, goes to say how valuable building relationships is to that process of storytelling and preserving stories and showing these stories in an authentic way, and in a way that really enhances our understanding of all of the various identities that exist, but also how we're distinct, but also how we're all connected through humanity. And yeah, I can't say enough about those those aspects of life and storytelling. So yeah. um wow. So could you tell us a little bit? I know you're off to a shoot soon, but in our last couple minutes, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit um, about what you're up to now, or what's next for you, or what you're sort of dreaming about for the future, or if there might be, a sequel, possibly. It's a documentary, but still, we'd love to catch up, or maybe I can just put that out there that we'd love to.
It's an interesting. I've thought a little about that. I don't know that it warrants a sequel, but we'll have to see, because the cool thing is Maya's still doing jujitsu and is still very engaged in it and is only getting better and is, competing in bigger tournaments. So that would be interesting to catch up with her maybe in a year, and you can see where she's come from here. Yeah.
And not to say that this story was very completely told, and it's very satisfying, and it, as I said, touches the viewer, just where it can inspire a viewer in their own life as well. But it would be cool to see someone like that on TV on a regular, like, who knows, we'll see a reality show or something, or some type of show where we could get more of her and you, no pressure.
Yeah, we'll see. I have I'm actually working on another sort of film that's similar in theme to this. It's also what I consider a portrait documentary about a woman I met during COVID who's my neighbor, who has an also inspiring and sort of stepping outside of the box kind of story about her life. So yeah, I'm sort of interested in those kind of just little portraits of people who have done something different and interesting, driven by passion.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I might have like mushed together too many questions there, like talking about whether there was going to be whether we'd be able to see more of but do you want to tell us a little bit about what you're up to, other than this COVID doc?
Just that and other lots of documentary projects in the hopper. Okay. Yeah, I'm doing a shoot in a few minutes about it's a documentary about the history of the underground press movement in the Bay Area in the 70s and 80s. So that's a very different type of documentary. It's but it's important history, and we've been working on that one for a while. So it's good to wrap that up. But like I said, I really like these portrait films, and so I want to keep making more of those. And you have to just it's also an organic process. You meet someone, they intrigue you. You have to get to know them for a while before you move forward with that. So
yeah. Great. And could you tell our audiences how they can connect with you or follow you on social media?
Oh yeah. I'm not a huge social media person, but Lion on the Mat does have a Facebook page. It's just Facebook/Lion on the Mat. And my Instagram is Jackalope Studios Film. And I post filmmaking updates there.
Okay, great. And you said can you repeat that?
Yeah,
Maybe spell it possibly?
Jackalope, Jackalope.
Okay.
And then Studios Film.
Okay.
And that's the Instagram.
Okay, great. Well, Sally, we're so happy to talk with you and to hear a bit about the process of making the film and the inspiration. And I'm rooting for this film to be, I mean, it's already won. As I said, it was, nominated. Our ceremony will be at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our award ceremony. So please, to everyone, tune in or, catch the replay if you must. And we really look forward to seeing your future work, your next work. And we, just personally wish you all the best. And also to Mai, just please give her our regards and, definitely try to send her a note. I certainly will, to thank her for being such a wonderful part of Moments in a Woman's Journey, this showcase. It made it a joy to put something together. And we hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you so much for programming this film. And it was great to talk to you. And yeah, best of luck with the rest of the festival.
Great. Thank you so much.
Left, right, up, down in the talk.